A young woman at my feet, with her hands bound, she looked up at me. There wasn't fear in her eyes. There wasn't anger. There was only pity. She knew that when you gave the order, and our blades would descend upon their heads, that in that moment we would be godless.
Have you tried the honey liquor we call mead?
This is Film Sack. Oh, sure.
Hello, and welcome to Film Sack. This is Film Sack, mining the very depths of film entertainment for all mankind. This is episode 677. I'm Scott Johnson, joined today by Brian. Beanfork is in this? Sweet! Dunaway.
Sign me up, Beanfork. Oh, hi. This week on Film Sack, we slip on some impossible to remove by yourself chainmail over our smelly tights and go merry with our band of men as we Robin Hood from the rich and give to the 2.5-hour 2010 origin story of everybody's favorite medieval, middle-aged archer sleeping on your floor by the fireplace instead of between your legs, now burning on Netflix. Just like your loins and straw-thatched roof above the too-weak-to-fight citizens of Nottingham. Rated PG-13 for snarky 13-year-olds who live in the wood and are single-handedly brewing the next plague to hit Europe. Anywho, just like a sitcom that loses one of its lead actors due to health, career move, or wage disputes, the naughty people of Nottingham just roll right along with the mid-season replacement of Sir Robert of Locksley and accept Robin Hood, Longstrider, as their new Darren, Becky, and Vivian. Remember, my lord. Remember me, my lord? No, you weirdo. You trying to get me fired? Move along. Randy, the king is dead. Long live the king. Unless he's a jerk, then F him. Let's eat his deer.
Let's eat his deer.
Let's eat his deer.
This is yours is the most. Look, I know weed isn't legal in South Carolina, but this might be my favorite in a long while. This is real good.
Oh, good.
Also with us today, we have Randy. It was a time of many arrows, Jordan.
Aloha, Scott. Brian, thanks for the standing ovation. Please be seated. Actually, don't. It's the year 1199, and if you sit down, you might get sheep poop on your puffy pants. Why are pants always so puffy in 1199 and times in the past? By the way, will humanity ever find the science that will allow our pants to fit tightly? It feels like it's 500 years away. Nonetheless, you're here because our new king is a sniveling loser of a man. He would have made a better Duke. You know, they could have made him like the Duke of Treaties. But we're stuck with him. And his new tax collector, Godfrey, was just here. And my God, that Godfrey is a handsome man. I almost forgave him for pillaging us. But we're not here to swoon over Godfrey's dreamy eyes. We're here to fight back against tyranny and the French. In that order? Maybe. I don't know now. Okay, so it's a fight we'll win if you follow my 3 easy steps. Number 1, don't bring a sword and 2 blind eyes to a sword fight. I don't care how many devils you've exorcised. Number 2, you know how Robin is the greatest archer and Will Scarlet is the greatest swordsman and Little John is the best staff wielder? Well, now you don't know any of that. You're all cavalry. Number 3, remember, we're in a prequel. So anyone of importance has to survive in order for more stories to be told. Just go out there and make yourself famous and you'll live for sure. Unless you're French. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean... Désolé.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh, we learned a little French today.
Yeah.
On God.
Merde. Oh, it's probably not good to say. Also with us, and finally, we have Brian. Mark Strong. More like Mark Arrow through the neck, Ibbot.
Oh. Yeah. He looked happy about it, though, didn't he?
Yeah, that was weird.
Enjoyed, a little happy about it.
Yeah.
So before I watched the movie, I was pretty much dead set that my song this week was going to be better than Ezra's Good. You know, Robin Hood, whoa, wow. But once I saw the movie and realized all the name changes, I figured this other song was going to be my destiny.
Oh man, that one sounded like it wore you out, or it would wear me out. Like,
yeah.
There's so many fast vocals in that thing that, especially that middle bit, the bridge is just. It was fun to write, but my God, it was tough to sing.
Who's the artist? I can't even remember.
Destiny's Child.
Destiny's
Yeah,
Child.
And it's exactly 25 years old. It came out 25 years ago.
Oh, really? Wow. There you go. Happy anniversary. Say my name.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I thought that was a R. Kelly joint, and I don't know why.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
Not very nice for me to assign that to him, I suppose. He's a douche. Gosh. Well, hey, everybody, you're all sitting at home going, well, I think I know what this is. You might be confused. And if you are, well, Fake Fletcher has an explanation for what we watched. Here it is.
Robin Hood, the one from 2010. In 12th century England, Robin Longstride and his band of marauders confront corruption in a local village and lead an uprising against the crown that will forever alter the balance of world power. Steal from the rob and stort to the poor.
Stort to the porp.
Steal from the rob.
Steal from the rob and stort from the port. Or porp.
All right. First, most important thing, was anything like that ever said in this movie? I just want to get
no.
right out of the gate.
No.
Was there any? Was there even really any stealing from the rich in this movie?
Was there even any Robin Hood?
Just briefly, there was stealing from the church, right?
Yeah.
Because they had the seed, and that was like those constant little nods to say, well, this is where the story comes from. Right?
Well, they were also you could tell they were dead set by the end of this to keep going, and this would be an origin story to a much more regular Robin Hood-y type thing, but I think
would have really began his stealing from the rich and fighting the sheriff and all that stuff.
Yeah, because the sheriff
more like
in episode 2.
Yeah, because the sheriff had such a tiny role in this. I thought to myself, well, this is the only way we get more of that is if there's a follow up. Instead, he's just kind of a one off joke, kind of lame character. And the sheriff of Nottingham is a huge part of the Robin Hood lore. You don't just not have him do shit. Who's this Godfrey guy with an arrow through his neck? Like, that's some bullshit. So
how dare you, Ridley Scott, try to, retcon, change my Robin Hood story?
Well, part of it is like admirable, like, okay, we're going to give this some grounded, interesting, meaty beginnings. But I think it's just all wrong. Like, I hadn't seen this. I had avoided it because I was nervous about it. Because everybody at the time said, this is not great. It's not Ridley Scott's best time. Don't watch it or whatever. And at that time,
Gladiator, right?
Yeah, well, by
right after Gladiator.
10 years later, so not quite right after, but
very post.
Yeah, very post. But he'd had other really rad stuff in between, like that. The Kingdom of Heaven extended cut thing was like 4 years prior to this, and that was fantastic. One of the greatest things he ever made. One of the greatest movies ever made. So I don't know. My expectation was like, all right, let's see. It's been long enough. Everybody's done complaining. How's this going to be? And my takeaway is, it feels like a Ridley Scott movie. It's absolutely gorgeously, beautifully shot, like beautiful movie. And everything is just kind of joyless and dirty and sweaty, but not quite enough. It's not quite enough for, like, if this had been hard R, I might have liked it a little more because it would lean into the strengths of Ridley Scott getting everybody all dirty to do a historical movie, or in this case, somewhat apocryphal, but still.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
While you're on Ridley Scott leading up to this, I just want to give you the Gladiator to Robin Hood list.
Yeah,
because it's amazing. Like, it gets worse.
There's a lot of,
but it has some real amazing parts. So in 2000, he makes Gladiator, and then every 18 months, he has Hannibal, Black Hawk Down, Matchstick Men, Kingdom of Heaven, A Good Year, American Gangster, and Body of Lies.
Yeah,
you can hardly go wrong. Like, there's going to be people who are like, well, but I don't like Hannibal. That's fine. But this is an amazing list for a director.
No, his whole he has 28 movies he's directed, if you don't count like television and other stuff. I mean, when he is gone, all right, when he's just legend, he'll be up there with Spielberg in terms of body of work. Now, you may not be able to match quality of work, but surely influence and body. And every other year, sometimes twice a year, he's cranking this shit out. And again, like Randy says, it's not all hits, some misses in there, but you have to respect it. But this movie, I don't know, it just kind of left me a little bit.
It's interesting that you bring up the idea of a body of work. And I'm sorry, I don't want to go too far on this, but like there are very few directors where you talk about the above average quality being relatively maintained. Like they're all allowed to have bad movies, but like when the average is really high for more than 8 movies, right? Like that's really impressive, right? Because you're really talking about Hitchcock, Francis Ford Coppola, you're talking about Martin Scorsese, right? Like these are this is a very rarefied company you're in.
Yeah.
So you can see how a movie like this would come along and we'd be like, oh yeah, we'll watch it. Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's freaking Ridley Scott.
Yeah, that's how I am with his movies. I'm interested to see them all, and there's only a few I haven't, and this was one of them.
As I've gotten older, my appreciation for Ridley Scott has improved, and maybe because I'm more accepting of the content of the movies that I might not have cared for as a younger person. And I just think Ridley Scott's I love it. Every time Ridley Scott comes, I'm like, give me more of that. As a matter of fact, we're only just like about 2 weeks away from Gladiator 2.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm excited about seeing that.
Early buzz is pretty good. People are
pretty good.
Yeah, people
and
are like.
I think that this Robin Hood film that we just watched had carried more joy, even though you said it was joyless for you. I felt like there was more joy in this than I was expecting, because I was really expecting just tragedy, because Robin Hood's story is kind of mostly tragedy with a little bit of overcoming, it seems like, but it seemed like for the most part it's ridiculous. Like
it's
cartoonified.
There are several versions of Robin Hood where people look at the overall story and go, oh, I'm just going to write a farce here because that's what they like. If you think about it objectively, right? Like all these characters are weird and funny and that sort of thing. I was expecting a lot more comic relief in this movie than we got.
That's what I was expecting, and I don't know that Ridley Scott's the right guy for that. I think the funniest person in this entire movie, like the only place I really found any humor, was the Queen. She cracked me up. The
Queen.
Even the interplay with Bean Fork and the dude from...
Oh my God, Kevin Durand and Scott Grimes always...
They're all right, but there wasn't enough of it. Like if you really want me to invest in your merry men, you got to spend some more time with those guys.
Can we just for the listeners who have no idea, can we give a quick background on Bean Fork?
Yeah. So here's the quick and dirty. In the 2007 remake of 3:10 to Yuma, one of the greatest westerns ever made, in my opinion. You got actually this is a reunion for these two because he killed Bean Fork in that movie. But anyway, Russell Crowe at one point is being cuffed and taken across the desert to get him on the train to the 3:10 to Yuma, and you got what's his name, Kevin Durand, as you said, is bugging him the whole time, just being irritating as shit and just constantly pissing him off. And one night they're all sleeping around the fire, and you in the scene you hear this like shunk 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 shunk, and they all wake up. And Russell Crowe's over there with his hands still bound, but he's got a bean fork that you eat beans with. It's got like 2 prongs, are kind of long. And
you eat the beans with.
And he's jamming it in and out of Kevin Durand's neck over and over and over until he's dead. And he is Bean Fork. That's what we call him. Kevin Durand is Bean Fork. So there's your background.
He will forever be.
He was Little John here, right? And if you blink, you'll miss it. The fact that he is Little John. I mean, it's just they hardly bring it up.
Their 4th Kevin Durand movie on Film Sack.
Can I guess the others real quick?
And this is probably my favorite of the Kevin Durands because he's usually such a douche.
No, I liked him. I really liked him as John. I think he's a perfect cast for it. I don't think they used him right, but I think he's a great cast. He's huge, he's scary, but he's dumb. Like he's all that stuff you want.
He was funny. There were a couple of scenes like where the movie got so bleak, and they're like, we should go to a bunch of villagers all drinking and dancing together. Then you see Kevin Durand.
Yeah, I like him a lot. But let's see. All right, so I just want to guess real quick. So we got this one, Robin Hood. You got your we didn't do Wolverine Origins.
Oh yeah. Nope.
Okay, so that's out.
Pretty good in there, too.
You can do it.
We haven't done the newest.
You
Apes
can do
thing.
it.
I'm trying. You know, I'm really struggling here. I know we've seen. Well, okay, 310 to Yuma, we did.
Nope, we have not.
We
sacked
didn't just
that.
bring to Yuma.
We have not. Sacked
Wow.
I must
I've just seen that so many times, I
I
guess.
just talk about it a lot and watch it a lot.
that. Yeah. Also, we haven't sacked the Kevin Costner free ranging in Montana open range. We haven't sacked that either, and I am convinced that we sacked it, but we have not.
I love that movie. All right. Maybe
I'm out. I don't
I'm
know.
out too. You know what? I thought I would know this. I don't know. Tell us the others he's in.
So
Unless
it's all in a
guess.
really tight time frame.
Yeah.
He made a bunch of movies in like the 2000s. So the first one was Real Steel.
Oh yeah, Real Steel. What was he in
right.
that? He was like a yes, he was a dick.
Yeah, he was the guy that
one.
he's the one that ran like local outdoor
Yeah,
robot
yeah.
fights.
Yeah.
He's a total douchebag. Yeah.
And then we saw him in The Butterfly Effect. That's
Oh my
that's
God, that's
the
old.
one I wasn't expecting you to remember.
No, I
that
didn't
one-
remember him. I
What-
still
when-
can't remember him.
When
in
did
that.
we do that one? That was like 10 years ago. Jesus, that was so
Long
It was
time.
maybe
Yeah.
6-7 years ago. But the most recent Kevin Durand appearance we saw was Walking Tall with The Rock.
What
We watch Walking Tall.
Walking Tall.
Oh,
What are you doing Walking Tall?
it's where there's a fight in the bar. He's got the big stick. The Rock does, and I
he's
think
got the big
He's
stick.
like-
the iconic scene with the big
Named
stick.
that-
and
he's
bar.
like-
based
he's
on
like-
a real dude, right? It was
Yeah,
like,
he's like the main heavy.
yeah,
Like
Yeah.
I think
not the
that's-
main heavy. The main heavy is Neil McDonough, but he's like
Right.
Neil
remember
McDonough's main fighter.
Okay, so Neil
Oh, he's the
McDonough.
fighter. Okay, I know you're talking.
Remember
about.
that Knoxville was Dwayne Johnson's little buddy.
That's
I remember
right.
this now.
yeah.
Yeah, Kevin Durand, memorable in everything he's in. He will go down as one of those character actors I love to see. I saw that Abigail horror movie this year where he's in that, plays like a Russian or something. Anyway, what was I saying?
So Abigail is the movie with the little girl who's like a vampire that a bunch of vampire hunters
Yeah.
are hired to kill. in
They all
America.
show up to her house.
So
and
you were-
she's all like,
you were
"Welcome in,
almost
suckers."
dead on. The way it works is you don't know this at first. She seems like someone you need to protect,
Right,
yeah, right.
And then you find
That's
out when
the
you get in there,
twist.
it's like, oh shit, she's an ancient vampire trapped in a kid's body, and it's actually kind of fun. It's okay. Dan Stevens is a bit of a douche in
A
it.
little bit, yeah. It's one of those more humorous horror movies like Hide and Seek or kind of like the Blumhouse stuff where it's got its tongue firmly in cheek.
Oh, yeah.
comedy kind of thing.
Absolutely. And I think that it works on a bunch of levels, but it also is kind of problematic. But one of the problems is definitely not Kevin Durand. His performance is great. So every time that dude shows up for a movie, I am all ears, I'm all eyes, I'm ready to go. He'll never be a leading man. That's fine. I don't need it. He's if you remade Fargo today, you would give him the Peter Stormare role. He is just like imposing and weird and funny when he needs to be. He's just a great guy to have on
For me in this movie, that is going to be Scott Grimes. I am
I'm
a Scott Grimes fan.
Me too.
I have always been. He was. I don't know if he's exactly my age, but he felt like when he was a teenage actor, like he was my age. He felt like it.
Party of Five. Is that where you first saw him?
No, hold on. What did I first see Scott Grimes in?
Was he in?
Because that's where I
oh,
remember.
gosh.
I forgot
Forgot he was in
I
there.
had a friend that I was interested in when I was in like middle school.
A friend.
I was interested in a friend, and she was like Scott Grimes in Critters 2 is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. and so like I went out of my way to find a way to watch Critters 2, and I'm like,
Interesting. Wow.
what does she think about it? I don't care. I'll just watch this guy now.
Yeah.
And like everything. He he makes a bunch of bit appearances. He's never a leading man. He's never gonna be a leading man. But then of course
you pull it off.
he's found his way through, like he's found his way
love his
through-
character in Orville. It is.
Of course, yes.
Oh,
Like, that's
yeah.
his.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like that was like his
Kind of his
destination.
wheelhouse, right? Like
Yeah.
the perfect kind of character that he tends to play.
Yeah, that's the most memorable thing I can think of. I don't know if I ever saw earlier work from him. I'm sure I have, but I just don't.
He has a
remember.
half season run
Yeah.
in Justified where he's really good.
Oh, see, I
and-
should remember that, and I don't. Weirdly,
And of course, the thing that really made him his career was that he was on ER for like 5 years.
Oh.
4 or 5 years he was on ER.
If they ever do a biopic about Bill Burr, he will play the role of Bill Burr.
And he's killing it in the Ted series. If you're not watching it.
Oh, what is Ted?
No, I haven't seen
Oh yeah, you remember the movie, the Ted with the teddy bear?
Series.
Yeah, I keep hearing that what a crazy career. This dude is like, in 1 second he's in Ted, the next minute he's doing another voice on American Dad, then he's back on Orville, then he's in Oppenheimer, then he's in NCIS Los Angeles, then Law and Order.
And Oppenheimer's another one where I went into it going, I hear Scott Grimes is in this movie. That's weird. Wonder what he does. Nothing, almost nothing. And that's a shame. Like, this is the first time we've ever seen Scott Grimes on Film Sack. That blows my mind. But
me too. I can't believe we haven't watched Critters yet. Jeebus.
Yeah.
Can we get that
too, specifically?
Yeah. We got to get that.
That's the one to go with.
Yeah.
Whereas we've seen Bobby B 3 times now, and I am just like, the instant I saw Bobby B, I'm like, this guy should be in everything. He is just freaking perfect.
Hold on, Scotty. Who is it again? What's his name?
Mark Addy, who was Robert Baratheon.
Oh, Robert Baratheon.
He was Curly in the Three Stooges movie.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
one of them. Yeah, he was because Will Sasso was in it in another with a Fairley one. But the Full Monty's, that dude's from that. He's in everything, man. And look at his career. Anytime they need a big Friar Tuck, big fat British guy to do a thing or put a beard on, he's in. He's all up in it every time.
I can't imagine overstaying your limit more than Mark Addy does in the first season of Game of Thrones. Like, in the first season of Game of Thrones, he should have been a character that was on screen for 5 total minutes, and somehow he pushed through and became this legend.
Oh, dude, Robert Baratheon
recognized it.
Yeah, Robert Baratheon is one of the most memorable things about that whole series, and he's gone after the first season. You're right. It's crazy. Yeah. Him and Ned Stark, I suppose, left a mark.
Yeah.
So, okay, hold on. I was just noticing he was in a recent Doctor Who as well. So this guy gets around, man. Oh, he's a busy boy.
He does, yeah. Did some World of Warcraft voices, or a voice anyway.
And for me, Mark Addy will always be the Friar Tuck character I wanted in A Knight's Tale. That, like, because of what the role he plays in A Knight's Tale, I came into this movie thinking, oh, Mark Addy, Bobby B, he's going to be that. And he was not. He was barely in this, like everybody. Everybody was barely in this.
Except when he dropped the bee bomb, that was great.
Yeah,
he came in and it's like, "Here's the bees! French people don't like bees.
We hate bees. Just learned nothing from Wicker Man."
So here's an interesting bit of trivia. It says here that Sir Ridley Scott, he is knighted. It sounds like I didn't know that. Said that the only previous Robin Hood movie he thought was any good was Robin Hood Men in Tights from '93. He said that with a straight face.
It's pretty good.
It's such a slam.
I mean, it must be, right? Because why else would you say that? Either you really think highly of that Mel Brooks thing, or you. I mean, I enjoy it for all kinds of ironic reasons. I don't think it's good, So I don't think Sir Ridley Scott, one of the great directors of our lifetimes, says that that's the only good Robin Hood movie. I'm with Ibbott. It's more of a slight against the rest of the lineup. It's not so much about it.
You're basically saying there has never been a good Robin Hood movie.
Robin Hood is a story, right? It's an amalgamation of different, probably historical individuals who rolled together to make a good story. So, and Ridley Scott's very much a historian. He loves history, and he's kind of tried to craft a more realistic looking historical version of Robin Hood. So in that way, I'm with him.
Yeah.
I want you to know that quote is why we are here. That quote, it jumps out at me a long time ago when I'm working on our upcoming list, and I'm like, you know what? There's been a bunch of Robin Hood movies. I wonder which ones we can sack. And so I go around and I find a bunch of Robin Hood movies ranked, right? Mm-hmm. There's all these different places ranking the Robin Hood movies. Yeah. And my take on those is always, I don't want to watch the best one and I don't want to watch the worst one. Those are like, we're not gonna, and in this case, if you compile the rankings, the best ones are really old. And so, like, not only do I not want to watch a movie that's 100 years old, but I don't think we're going to find it, right? So that's fine.
Sure.
So I'm always going to the middle of those lists. And in the middle of all of these lists, there's always the same three movies. The one we just watched, Ridley Scott, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and Robin Hood Prince of Thieves.
Right.
Prince of Thieves.
So I kick Men in Tights off because it's a complete comedy.
It's comedy. It's hard for us to sack.
Yeah. And that leaves us with two. And this one came up streaming before the other one. And the other one is Kevin Costner, so you know it's going to be ridiculous. And I'm kind of glad. I'm glad that we will one day watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and it's in this order.
Yeah, I think so too. What's funny is Entertainment Weekly puts, let me give you their top 10. Well, they're 11, I guess they have here. Their top 11 goes like this. At 11, Rogues of Sherwood Forest from 1950. No idea. Who cares? We're never going to see that. The Story of Robin Hood and His Merry Men from 52 is at number 10. 9, Robin Hood from 2018. I heard that was pretty bad. That was the Taron Egerton thing. Never saw it. Robin Hood from 91. I think we vetoed that.
That's not the one.
No, it's the Twinsies movie with Prince of Prince of Thieves.
Okay.
Prince of Thieves and 91 Robin Hood came out a couple months apart.
Right. Okay. Then you got Robin Hood, this one from 2010 at 7. 6th place, Robin Hood Men in Tights, according to this list. Again, it's Entertainment Weekly. Number 5, Robin Hood Prince of Thieves from 91. Number 4, Robin and Marion, which we definitely did veto. 1976.
That's the one I vetoed. I watched it. It's great as a love story, not great for
it's
film.
Funny because I remember us vetoing it by name, by Robin and Marion. But if you would have asked me who was in it, I said, "Oh, well, it's the guy from Sleeping with the Enemy, Patrick Bergen, who plays Robin." But that's a totally different Robin Hood. That's the 1991 Robin.
And it's a really weird look because Robin looks 72. And Marion looks like someone of my friend's moms. You know, I just don't get it. It's a really weird look.
The Robin and Marion one.
Yeah.
If you didn't like the prequel to Robin Hood, then you would not like the post prime Robin and Marion film.
Is that what that is?
Love story after.
Here's what's funny though about you saying the age thing, Scott, is that Russell Crowe is a year older in this film than Sean Connery was when he made Robin and Marion.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to like everybody looked older back then, but also I don't know. There's something about Russell Crowe. Even
men looked older back then. Like Sean Connery and Audrey Hepburn are about the same age. She's 47. In Robin and Marion, and it just he looks ancient.
He really does, handsome ancient, but ancient nonetheless. But the thing with Russell Crowe is he even now where he's kind of grizzled and old and getting a little fat every once in a while and all that. I'm a big fan of that. I think he's freaking great. I will never not be a Russell Crowe fan. This movie made me just want to immediately turn around and rewatch Gladiator and then go watch Master and Commander again and.
The whole movie, I just wrote down over and over and over. I want to watch Gladiator. Please, can we just switch?
Yeah,
to
just in the mood. I'm in the mood now.
I do. Well, I'm definitely going to see it. We've got our tickets for opening night for Gladiator 2, so I need to watch it between now and then.
I'll really be curious your take to do them back to back like that because I don't know. It's a tricky thing. 24 years apart trying to do this.
Yeah, this thing has to stand on its own. The new one for people who it's been so long that you're going to get a huge part of the audience that hasn't seen the original that's being either, dragged to the movie by somebody who has or just says, "Oh, this Gladiator 2 seems cool. Let's go see that." And I don't know the original. Do I need to know? It's a Gladiator.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't even know if I would even call this Gladiator 2 if it had been them. I don't know. I would have probably
Gladiator later. I mean,
Gladiator.
The only character I think that is still there is the mom, played by I forgot her name. She's great. She was in the first one. She the sister to Joaquin Phoenix's character in the first Gladiator. Can't think of her name. Anyway, she's in it. Other than that, no other connective tissue in terms of actors. Okay. So if it's as good as all the pre-buzz is saying, then I think that we may be looking at a movie that really knows how to focus in on new characterizations, new situations, but set in that world because we already have the impact of the world from the first one. We don't need to be retold that. So I really hope. Well, I don't know. Whatever. I'm seeing this movie.
Gladiator.
Yes. Yeah.
Already done.
All I know is that if Tina doesn't like it, I'm in big trouble because she was really surprised and a little bit ticked off that I didn't get tickets for Wicked, which comes out the same week.
Oh, shit.
Her favorite movie of all time is Wizard of Oz, and we've seen the play Wicked, and she's like, "So we're seeing that opening night." I'm like, "No, we're seeing Gladiator 2 opening night." But I got us tickets for Wicked on Sunday, so we're seeing 2 movies that weekend.
Well, so just to finish out this list, Entertainment Weekly's top 3. This is interesting, and it's probably not. I'm probably never going to see 2 and 1, but number 3, Robin Hood from '73, the Disney one, and it is great. I freaking love it. I watch that all the time.
Yeah.
Robin Hood and Little John running through that whole thing, so great. All right, and then you got number 2, Robin Hood from 1922. This is a silent movie. And then at number 1, they give it to The Adventures of Robin Hood from '38. That's your Errol Flynn business.
Olivia de Havilland or
yeah, Olivia de Havilland, Errol Flynn, and it was the first, one of the first color films of the era. It was still, I guess, in '38, that was still pretty rare.
Okay, yeah, it was. I was thinking that this one was colorized, but no, it was actually shot in Technicolor.
It was shot in Technicolor. It looks, like that weird effect, but I think this is famous for being one of those early ones. Kind of like Wizard of Oz, also one of those, and right around the same time, right? Like 39, yeah. And they even used it as part of the story because half that movie is in black and white, and then the rest is color.
Right.
What a gimmick. That's like today, that would be like the first half of the movie is just with film, but the latter half's all AI generated. It'd be like that today.
My favorite thing about these old Technicolor movies is that they go out of their way to add color to things. Like wardrobe is very colorful in those old movies, and I could just sit and watch. I don't even need the sound.
Right. If you got Technicolor in your name, you better do something special.
Yeah.
you better deliver. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where like in those old Technicolor movies, they would go to your jacket and give a brown jacket white stitching. So that it really you could really see the color.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It would pop.
I mean, it was something special, right? Because what you going to do? Go home and watch color TV? No.
Well, speaking of some of this cast, so this is pretty crazy. It said something earlier in our Discord about some connections and stuff, but I was blown away by all the cross connecting. So we have like tons of MCU in here. You've got everybody from Oscar Isaac, William Hurt. I want to get back to William Hurt in a second because whenever you tell me William Hurt is going to be in some period-looking movie, I always scoff at you and say, that's a terrible idea. He needs to be in a suit and tie or be a doctor or be a government guy. Don't put him in your old ass 1200 BC AD, whatever. Don't do that with William Hurt. It doesn't fit. And I'm wrong. He's always good. And in this, he is a high point of this movie, I think, acting-wise.
Yes, absolutely.
Incredible. In the village, it's both.
Yeah,
he gets to be both in a modern movie and an ancient movie.
That's true. But you got William Hurt, Oscar Isaac, Matthew McFadden, who's your Sheriff of Nottingham, was just made his MCU debut, I guess. Yeah. Kate Blanchett, of course. Russell Crowe also, because of the last Thor movie. I don't know about Max von Sydow, but I kept wondering about that.
What'd you think? Would you like him, right? We just asked if you didn't like him, right?
No, I liked him. I just don't know if he was.
Did you like him in MCU?
I'm saying, is he in? Is there any kind of crossover?
I can't think of anything with him yet.
But then you have all these Dune connections. You have Oscar Isaac again. You have Léa Seydoux, or however you say the French lady's name, who plays his hot little French pastry, his mom called her.
Right.
Kevin Durand, technically part of the MCU now that they've at least honored the Fox stuff, and so
sure, yeah. Now that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is part of the MCU, so becomes the Blob. In, Origins,
and then you got your 3:10 to Yuma connection with him and Russell Crowe, and then you got your Mark Strong is in a thing I can't remember, but anyway, I was just like blown away by this. In 2010, I don't think they were planning on having this big crossover thing, obviously, because none of that had happened yet. But look how it's all gone. And Oscar Isaac's like 10 years old in this? Felt like he's so young.
Right, super young. Yeah, way before his star rises for us in kind of geekdom and everything.
Yeah, inside
super hateable. Good job.
Oh, he was very good in this. He's a complete douche, but
very
he's
hateable.
Extremely good.
Yeah.
I haven't really gotten a chance to tell you. It's funny. I've been waiting. Originally I was going to try and interrupt and say what I thought of the movie when we were going around talking about it.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm going to be one of the people kind of defending this thing. I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to, based on what I'd heard. And I think I enjoyed it more as a movie than a Robin Hood movie. Because it doesn't need, because there's no sequel and because we really don't get the payoff of, all right, here's what Robin Hood becomes. This thing, if you just changed a few names, which they did, then you could, then this could just be a movie about a dude and his happy band of followers
Or what if it's just a movie about the 20 years before the signing of the Magna Carta?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's very interesting, all of the stuff that they come up with to pack into this thing.
Yeah.
Like that could have worked without. I don't.
It's why I used that
think it could
intro.
have worked.
It's why I used the intro that I did, because it was this different. Like he's sitting there talking about Crusades and when he was running around with our King Richard, and they were, suppressing people, killing them, rounding them up. Like those concepts, you don't hear about that in Robin Hood movies. It never comes up.
Right.
All Robin Hood has ever been before is this little bit of a two-dimensional, like, we're going to hide in the forest. Here comes a thing full of gold. We're going to rob it. And we're going to take it back, and we're going to give it to these poor people. Rinse and repeat. That's the movie. This is not that. This is like, and that's maybe where maybe I need to have that mindset of like, just who cares if it's Robin Hood? It's not really the point.
And don't think of it as a Robin Hood movie. And as a Robin Hood movie, it probably, warrants like a 5 or 6 on the scale. But as a movie, just as a, as an action piece, as a period piece, a movie, I think it's a lot better than that. I think it's an 8 or 9 for me.
The movie goes out of its way to go, we're not robbing from the rich and giving to the poor here, all the way, even when they get their first investment, where they come across the king's men who have been slain. They just, they're more like scavengers. It's like, hey, look, some free gold. Why not? We need it anyway, so let's take it. It wasn't like they were trying to give.
They were scheming, right? They were scheming.
Yeah.
And scheming isn't necessarily what you apply to Robin Hood. It's more like a righteous rebellion is what you ascribe to him. And this is all probably prior to a film that might have been more like what I'm saying, but they didn't do it because they didn't make enough money. Ironically, though, it made just barely less than the Kevin Costner one did. So I guess our standards for box office have changed. Or, this movie cost almost north of 200 million to make. So it probably just was the ratio was just off, and they were like, we're not making another one of these. Plus, Russell Crowe and Ridley Scott fell out after this. They didn't get along on set, and they haven't done anything with each other since this one. And right prior to this, he had just finished 2 movies in a row almost that were one's the gangster one that someone just said, and I forgot the name of it again. American Gangster. And the one, It's a Long Life, or It's a Long Day, or something like that. What a Day in a Life, whatever it is.
Wolf, It's a Long Life, I think is the actual full title. Yeah,
something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's another Russell Crowe deal. And then this comes, and I guess they just fought and got all pissy, and I think Russell Crowe was entering.
They seem like 2 people that could get pissy, right? Both of them. They seem very much like
they absolutely do. Yeah.
Yeah, and Crowe famous for walking out of a couple of televised interviews where they wouldn't stop asking him about why he sounded sort of Irish in the role.
Yes, why his accent sounded Irish at times or Scottish at times. And
I found it difficult to get over the fact that for about a decade, Russell Crowe was, known to be a hothead and had kept having to go to court because he lashed out at somebody and they claimed damages.
Yeah.
The only thing of that I remember was that he threw a phone at an assistant or something during that movie where he messed around.
Probably deserved it.
Oh, right. It was like or a hotel clerk or somebody like that. It was like
somebody. Yeah, he threw a phone, and I can't even remember the movie that he was on set for or in town for, and got pissed and threw a phone at somebody.
Yeah. I think he's I think he's past it now, but he's basically that guy in the truck. What's that movie he just did recently where he's
that was so good. Road Rage. Oh, that was such
what's
a
it
good
called
movie.
though?
I love that movie.
Called Road
Rage?
No, it's Rage? No.
It's like Rage or something like that. Is it?
It's really
it's
good.
Not just called Road.
It's called Road.
It came at a time. That's not the name. Hold on. We're going to find it.
No. It's called, I'll tell you. It is called
Unhinged.
Unhinged, which
he
is
plays Man.
So freaking good.
Yeah, he plays Man in Unhinged. Good. It came out at a time that really, that was rough. That movie.
It's 2020. We all didn't want to
we didn't want to look at it.
Contentious with election stuff. We didn't want any extra rage in our lives, so I stayed away from it.
Yeah, it's really good though. It is worth revisiting if you haven't seen it. And I just saw his exorcism thing, the Pope's Exorcist. That was great. Enjoyed that a lot. It's pretty silly and a little over the top. He's kind of like super exorcist. And like it's not really scary. It's more like Russell Crowe's got a bunch of secrets and he's going to come in here and cast your devils out. But it's a good time. I enjoyed it. Worth looking at. Anyway, my point was did I have a point? I probably didn't. I don't know.
That was it. I just made the point.
You're all in on current Russell Crowe
Old, new, all of them, though, all phases. I love his work. I think he's a great actor. I think he's always compelling. I'm probably going to watch Nice Guys soon because it cropped up after this. It says you may also like, and I'm like, oh yeah, freaking Nice Guys is great. We talked
about him as Zeus in Thor, Love and Thunder. Did you see that one?
I still haven't seen it. No. How was he as that one? How was he?
That was fun.
Zeus.
He's good in a not quite as good film. Which is a bummer because I love Taika Waititi. I love the whole Thor franchise. I thought Ragnarok is one of my 3 or 4 favorite MCU films, but overall that film disappointed me. But it wasn't because of Russell Crowe. I thought Russell Crowe was great.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was fun. That's about where I'm going to leave it at. That's about the value of that.
As fun as a movie about Thor's girlfriend getting cancer, it can be.
Hey, I found a piece of trivia that only maybe Ibbott would know.
Sure.
Alan Doyle, the actor who played one of Robin's cohorts.
Yes,
as a lead,
Great Big Sea.
Yeah, he's a singer for this Canadian band. I had no idea. That was cool.
A really good Canadian band. They, it's no. What's the one that just had the guy die a couple of years ago? Gord Downey and can't remember the name of the band he was in, but it was like he was so beloved. It was like losing Bob Dylan kind of thing.
Oh wow!
But Great Big Sea is like they do a great version of It's the End of the World as We Know It. They do a really good version of that. The Gordon Lightfoot song about the ship that goes down, the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Yeah. They're great. Really, really good.
All right, so let me ask you this question. Is he the bard of this movie? He must be.
He is. He's the guy that's always with the guitar.
Yep.
And
always playing that stringed instrument, always hollering out merry men tunes. That's his job.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And let's sing something about a woman.
Yeah.
I'm horny. Sing something about a woman.
Right.
There really aren't many women in this movie, by the way.
No,
but the one that
out there,
the one in there is amazing.
She's so good.
Kate Blanchett just rocks.
You could put her in, which I'm sure. I think Ibbott saw the Borderlands movie because you. Didn't you suffer?
I did.
Suffer that?
Disappointed. By the way, Tragically Hip is the band I was trying to remember before all those Canadians start writing emails.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, but you forgot the name of the Tragically Hip, which is like our Beatles up here, eh?
Yeah. But she is so good that I don't care what she's in. She could just be opening a can of mayonnaise and I would be.
Isn't it weird that she
is great?
Yeah.
Isn't it weird that she and Russell Crowe are both Australian and you never once question her accent?
No, she's good. She's great.
I guess because she's good.
Well, no, that's what's funny. All the Australian actors of note, her, Hemsworth's, all of them can do amazing English, American, whatever accent you need them to do. And there's always these stories where they say, well, we grew up on American television and that's how we learn how to, that's always their answer. What happened to Russell Crowe's household? What were they watching? There's nothing. Mad Max on 24/7. Like he never is good at faking that stuff.
I rarely get mad at accents. Period. As long as I can understand what they're saying, and I'm believing the character. The accent doesn't.
How'd you feel about Princess Leia swapping around in Star Wars?
The British
didn't even until people started bitching about it. Never even noticed.
Really,
even thought about it.
Yeah, that's true. I was a little kid.
I thought I smelled your stench when I was brought on board.
But I was a little kid, and I heard Millennium Falcon, and I'm like, okay, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah,
whatever.
It's a weird. Okay, I'm going to actually find a version of it. So here's what it says.
Now, I know it bothers some people. Now, some people are sticklers, especially if you're from that region and someone's supposed to be representing you. It's got to be infuriating. But even with bad Southern accents, none of it bothers me.
So this is the same.
Well, I shouldn't.
Well, Dunaway, here's the same movie. Okay, same movie, same actor doing what she does.
The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
Will somebody get this big walking carpet out of my way?
Jeez. Like, could you be
Well,
the same? I mean,
she's in front of the Darth Vader. She's got it,
Alderaan is known as being very bougie. And so
I change my accent 20 times a day according to the person I'm around. So I mean,
Yeah, I guess this is what they call sane-splaining, isn't it? When we try to explain this stuff away.
Well, would somebody please get this walking carpet out of my way? Just doesn't quite.
Oh, you're so right, dude.
If that had been Judi Dench, it would have been amazing.
Oh my god,
absolutely amazing.
Can you imagine Dame Judi Dench as freaking Princess Leia? I would buy into that. Here's another.
So there's.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I got one person in this movie in Robin Hood that does not belong, should not have been there. I'm fine. I'm willing to give you everyone else, but this one person is so wrongly cast.
Give it.
And that is because it's a retelling of an actual history, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like Richard II had a bunch of sons, and I'm sorry, Henry II had a bunch of sons, right? And the one that succeeds him is Richard the Lionheart, and Richard the Lionheart's running around trying to hold together the Angevin Empire, and that means fighting people in France all the time, and it eventually gets him captured, and then when he gets free, he goes crazy and gets killed.
How many? Okay, keep going. I got a question.
So that leaves the whole empire to his brother, Prince John, becomes King John, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then Danny Houston's brother is Oscar Isaac. No, he doesn't look right. He doesn't sound like. He doesn't look anything like Danny Houston at all. Like they look like they're from different sides of the planet.
He's a bastard.
Well, look at it this way though. Go back to the cartoon, and one's a lion, and the other one's a tiger. Like that's pretty effed up.
Sense.
That's pretty effed up.
I'll tell you though, I love Richard's death. Like it's like a guy's like he's bringing soup. Hey, soup for everybody. Oh, let me see this arrow thing.
Right.
And I'm like,
how does this work?
That was gorgeous. I killed the king.
I've always wanted to try one of these crossbows.
That soup,
look what I did.
That soup guy's getting a raise. That's what's going on there.
I'm telling you, I loved it. That's just like that's the best. The winds of change. Or just some soup guy.
Oh, and give me a trope alert.
Oh, I can hand you one on a platter here. Where is it?
You're about to be a hero. You're in the stocks, locked up when the person who put you there dies. That's amazing. That it feels like it's in everything that the hero starts out in jail and the jailer dies.
It's like a get out of jail free card. That's what that is. And I always loved this back in those days when you'd have these wars and these skirmishes and stuff. There was always some kid who's like 12 to 16 whose job it is just to observe shit and then run as fast as he can to the next town over to explain to the powers that be what just went down, and then run back and carry word forward from the thing. Like that's how we used to like get information around before radio and all that kind of stuff.
It's interesting to think that there were people who made a living doing that. Like in this 1200, there's this barony all over England, right?
Yeah.
And all of the different barons desperately want to know what's going on in London. And so there's people who that's their living. They have a horse. That's their main purpose. They get on it. They ride out into the country and they tell the locals what is going on in exchange for like room and board.
Yeah, exactly. Old vegetables or whatever you could do.
Real quick here, idea. Yeah. I'm nostalgic for something that I never experienced, which is to just pull into some town you don't live in and go, "You there? What's the word?" And just get the description of what's going on. I'm nostalgic for something that never existed for me.
It's a very simple, very purposeful thing, isn't it? There's something about it that has like a kind of a raw, down to earth quality to it. Danny Houston, though, you mentioned him briefly, but Danny Houston, who plays King Richard the Lionheart, guy's a freaking douchebag in everything he's ever made, ever. He's got to be on our list of like regular people we see in these movies, right?
Feels like it.
Danny Houston.
All right, name another movie that we've seen from him, because there is one other.
Okay, then it's got to be Fugitive, right? The Fugitive has to be.
Was he in The Fugitive?
Correct. He was not.
He was too. He was his friend.
The sequel? Oh yeah, he was right. The other doctor. Yeah,
right. You guys are smoking crack. If you say
the jerk. He was the jerk.
The doctor that set everything up.
Yeah, the one that got his wife killed. He was the whole point. He sent the one-armed man over there and all that.
It was the one-armed man.
Right? Am I smoking crack?
It's a good. You say good. I don't know. It's a good question.
I'm apparently smoking the same crack because that's what I remember.
I can't find The Fugitive in Danny Houston's list.
this can't be right.
Is he uncredited? Maybe.
Is it not? Was it not Danny Huston in The Fugitive?
I don't think it was.
Hold on, I'm looking.
Whoa!
I'm looking.
We found our new Maggie Grace.
Oh, you know who it is? It's that Jaron Crab guy.
Okay.
They're the same guy. You got
the same guy. Come on.
They're the same guy.
Jaron Crabbe.
Wow.
He's what is he? Dutch?
Yeah.
And this guy's English.
Damn it. All right, hold on.
But he's exactly the same dude. I mean, I'm looking at him and I'm just like,
look at him.
I'm looking this. Okay, we got to find this then. This is going to annoy me. You say he's in one other thing we've seen?
I don't know.
Yeah. But Danny Huston is not English. He's Italian. I didn't realize that because he really doesn't he doesn't exist in a bunch of Italian stuff.
Okay.
It's funny. He was Stryker in X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Yes, he was. Yes,
really.
And Mean Fork, another crossover I wasn't aware of. Okay, I can't find anything. I guess go ahead and spill the beans. What's the movie?
So we saw Danny Huston in the movie Angel Has Fallen.
Oh shit! Let me guess though. He's like a
senator.
He's a turncoat senator or some shit like that, right?
It was the Gerard Butler thing.
Yeah. No, I know the movie, but his role is always that though. His job is to go, I'm a douche, and you can't trust me.
I've been working behind the scenes the whole time.
Yeah.
I am never going to remember anything in that movie except Gerard Butler played Gerard Butler. And Lance Reddick played Lance Reddick.
Yeah.
Only ever Lance Reddick in a movie.
Sure. I like that movie.
Morgan Freeman was the president.
Yeah. No, that was the other one.
There you go.
That's the other one.
So we don't know what he did.
Oh no, he was the vice president because the president was Two-Face, Harvey Dent. Can't think of his name. You know,
my God, I've forgotten everything about this movie. I'm going to have to watch it again.
Remember, because he's in the basement and they're killing some of his cabinet members in front of him or beating him or whatever. The Korean terrorist guy, and so you had Harvey Dent in there freaking out and trying not to let everybody have the codes or whatever. And then on the outside, your vice president.
Is this movie that forgettable that I can't remember anything that you're saying?
Here's the problem. The problem is that there's London Has Fallen, Olympus Has Fallen, and a whole other movie called White House Down. And it's like
Olympus Has Fallen is the one that had Aaron Eckhart as the president.
Correct. But then
his face becomes president.
Morgan
Freeman becomes president for the second one.
Exactly, because he was VP.
I thought he was.
Yeah. Remember?
Well, what's the one with the nuclear weapon at the football game?
Oh, that is Sum of All Fears.
Batman Returns.
What's the one with the nuke? Fears. What's the one with the nuke at the hockey game? That is sudden death. Thank you. That's it. We watched that together. That was a live watch we did.
Oh God! If I
not featured Danny Huston or Gerard Butler or Aaron Eckhart.
No, none of those people are in that one.
and Sudden Death is going to go down as one of the film sack movies that is the most underrated for me. Me. It is going to be like in my top 10 of I'm willing to watch that anytime.
Yeah.
Kind of
I mean, we could go back and do a proper episode. We did a watch through, like a live watch, but we could always go back and like revisit it. I love that movie. It's stupid, dumb, and good. Here's my favorite bit of trivia. George, the horse that Russell Crowe rode in Gladiator 2000.
That's the horse he rode in on.
That's right. That horse appeared in this movie. So the Gladiator horse still getting work all those 10 years later.
Gladiator horse, is that the white horse?
I don't know for sure because they also
white horse.
That's not George. George is a different horse. Rusty's the white horse in this movie, and Rusty worked with Crowe. He also worked with Russell Crowe in Les Miserables, though, like 2 years later. So
Les Miserables.
These horses,
Miserables.
These two horses, man. Jeez,
I know.
I was confused because I was like, "Hey, Rusty. Robin Hood's riding a horse now." And isn't that the king's horse? And I'm like, you just can't pull up at London and go, here you go. I'm riding off with the king's horse. They wouldn't even give him a ring. I was like, I'm really confused about the horses.
Yeah. I don't know what to get. There's no good like car comparison. I don't know how that shit works with royalty.
Right. You can't eat my deer.
Yeah.
But you can keep the horse.
Yeah. I want to just unpack something really, really quick because, again, I enjoyed this movie overall. It's just riddled with problems.
It's riddled with some problems.
And the problem that really stuck out to me was that it set up this really interesting conflict where Robin Hood steals a bunch of gear. He and his merry men steal a bunch of gear of dead knights and pass themselves off as knights, and then go to London with the crown to give it to the new king. And you're expecting, this is one of those, they're going to try really, really hard to not be found out, but someone's going to know. And there's this really intriguing thing about that, about pretending to be a nobility, and you're not, and everybody's trying to see through it, and they just don't. There's one powerful person who figures it out. It was never figured out, or at least not. There was no payoff to that entire thing.
Yeah,
right. The payoff, I guess, was the tension it created, and I actually appreciated that they didn't ratchet up the tension too much, because that would have made this movie too depressing. I don't know. It would have made it just too dark. I liked the fact that this movie, for the most part, it was kind of hopeful for the most part. Even when being, tyrannical rule, it still seemed to be kind of hopeful, which is what I want to see in a Robin Hood movie.
Yeah.
It was so weird to me to like, tension for tension's sake is fine, but they're telling a story that we all can relate to. Someone's sneaking around, impersonating someone else, right?
Well, I liked it was kind of a lead in. It was purposeful in two ways. It was purposeful to create tension at the moment of meeting, and then it was also a way to explore the idea that a name could be separated from the individual. You could actually, in order for all the politics of the time to operate, you would have to fudge who you are,
right,
in order to maintain wealth or power or whatever.
Yeah, that's a very interesting thing, right? This a disobedience requires you to do some skeevy stuff, but in the larger story, in the larger picture, it's all for this greater good, and that's a slippery slope, right? Like, how far are you willing to go? Some people, far enough is protesting something, but too far is setting off a bomb somewhere. So where do you have the line? And that's interesting to explore, especially in this very paper thin Robin Hood story that we usually get told. Instead, this one's like, let's go a little deeper, which is a very Ridley Scott thing to do. I think maybe that's where my disconnect came from. And the more I think about what Brian said, the more I agree with Ibbott on this whole idea. Like, if you just kind of push to the side the Robin Hood part, this is one of Ridley Scott's things. Yeah, and this is what he does. He makes these. I mean, if you haven't seen Kingdom of Heaven, or if anyone at home hasn't seen Gladiator, this is another version of those with a different, larger, powerful evil and little guys trying to make their way. I mean, it's that again. And he loves doing that and exploring it. If this had been hard R, I think I may have been more on board. And that's a weird thing to say, but I would have felt like the fighting just always felt like, well, there's no blood. These guys aren't really fighting. Like, I just kind of felt like it was sanitized, that stuff. Yeah. And I think that would have done it for me, or pushed it over the edge.
So here's the most bolded question I wrote down. And I want everybody's individual answer on this question, please. And that is, why is Gladiator so much better than this? What misses the mark so badly for you about this movie, specifically comparing it to Gladiator?
I don't know if I would say that Gladiator is so much better than this. I think I enjoyed them about the same amount. It's been years. I mean, it has been 24 years since I've seen Gladiator. Saw it when it first came out, have not seen it since. Definitely need to go back to it, and that's why I'm looking forward to doing that. But I don't remember walking out of it saying that's, the best Ridley Scott movie I've ever seen, or even one of the 5 best Ridley Scott movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
This one I feel I don't feel it's in the top 5 either, but I feel it's really good. I really enjoyed it.
I think him walking with his hand on the hay, that's the big difference between that and this one. Yeah.
Right. But like Gladiator's like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, and this movie is about 40%. Yeah. And so like there's a gulf. And when you're watching this movie, if you've seen Gladiator a few times and you come to appreciate the excellence of that film, you kind of I found myself longing for it.
I did too, and I think it's because I think it's hard for me to just let go of the Robin Hood part, and I think that I would be a healthier viewer if I could. But there's so much baggage with it that when you come to me and say, here's my telling of the Robin Hood story,
Yeah.
and then I find that it's not really that great of a Robin Hood story, then I kind of fall away. Whereas Gladiator was wholly original. I mean, we knew about gladiators in ancient Rome and all that, but this wasn't a story that had been apocryphally told for 200 years. This was a brand new slate or brand new canvas for Gladiator where this wasn't. And I think maybe that's it for me. And it's mostly a me thing. Like it's I bring too much baggage with Robin Hood, I think.
I'll bet that if you look at the reviews for Robin Hood on Rotten Tomatoes and why it's got that low score, a lot of people will say this wasn't very good. It didn't tell the Robin Hood story very well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to probably do that. Whereas that's why I'm saying I think this is a healthy way to look at it. If you can go in there and just say, think of it as an experiment. Ridley Scott's like, you know what? I'm going to tell a familiar story, but I'm going to really twist it. I'm going to put it on its end. I would probably have that would be better for me to go into it like that. Instead, I went in going, oh man, I even like the cartoon version of Robin Hood better than that. Like, that's a bad place to see this from. Don't be doing that, people.
I think the difference for me between the two movies, Gladiator is high pressure, high stakes, and this one is meandering. And so I have trouble comparing the two directly because they're using very different methods. And so, I mean, I could probably objectively say, Gladiator is tighter. You know, the points are faster. But if you ask me on any given day, would I prefer to watch Gladiator today or would I prefer to watch Robin Hood? I may be more inclined to say, let's just watch Robin Hood. It's this nice little meandering story that has a little action here and there.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think the big complaint about Gladiator for some people is that it's too long and too drawn out. Right. And I come at it from the other way. I'm like, I love this so much. I want it to be 10 hours long.
Yeah, dude.
And you can't keep up that intensity for 10 hours.
Yeah.
But like this movie kind of trades on that. Robin Hood is like saying, here, we're gonna make a Robin Hood movie that is as intense as it can be, and we're not going to give you comic relief. Maybe a little bit of a breather every now and then, but like there's no real comic relief.
Yeah,
you don't really need it.
I don't even know if it's required. Like that's the other thing is I went in thinking it was required. It's not really. Why would it be?
No.
Like there are plenty of stories out there that get it's like Pocahontas from Disney, full of humor, full of stuff that you would never have in that original story. Any of that stuff where Disney takes historical stuff and works with it, they goof it up, make it goofy or whatever. The real stories aren't like that shit at all. They're not like that. So I don't know why they have to do that. It's weird.
I like meandering through the countryside, and I think that's what's beautiful about Robin Hood in lots of ways. It's just like, oh, it's the wood, and it's life as it was then, and sure, there's tyranny, but for the most part, most days you don't even see it. It just hits you occasionally, but you have to be prepared.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's not like Gladiator where you're constantly being, rammed up against somebody else, and every day is life or death, and it's just more like
so. Yeah. I can't help but compare the two films beat for beat because of the fact that it's Russell Crowe playing essentially the same character, like not exactly the same character, but the essence of main character in movie is the same.
His loss is not quite. Maybe that's part of this problem, though, Randy. It's like his loss in Gladiator was profound, which drove him to basically seek revenge against an entire empire. But his loss here is more like I saw a thing when I was a kid. That seemed gnarly. Anyway, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't have.
I made out all right. I did,
It didn't have the heft of what happened to Maximus.
I mean, and he won the Oscar for Best Actor for Gladiator.
Yeah.
Like he did a better job.
It takes a lot more. Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot more reaching to be someone who is in such a situation as the character was in Gladiator, where it doesn't take as much. We could all kind of see ourselves in Robin Hood, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
And
I can't see myself in Gladiator.
I think my mistake here is allowing myself to get to the beat for beat comparison because just another example, Joaquin Phoenix versus Oscar Isaac in this, there is no comparison. Like
no.
Joaquin Phoenix's portrayal of freaking Commodus in Gladiator is unbelievable. It's like it is a star making performance for Joaquin Phoenix, and Oscar Isaac in this movie is just He's just dumb.
I
It's just like
disagree.
He's wishy-washy.
I agree with you
Yeah.
on the point of I think Phoenix is freaking brilliant in
Superior
Gladiator.
and great.
But I
The
think this
character's
is
different.
I think this is one of Oscar Isaac's most. I mean, I hated his guts in it, but I think he's very good in this.
If you hated his guts, then he did a really good movie.
He's a
did it right.
standout.
Yeah.
You could argue that the character of John, but John's always like, even in the cartoon, he's just such a dick, talking to that snake all the time, just being a weenie, sucking his thumb and all that. You know, he's just a puss.
Yeah.
But his portrayal, like if I hadn't known better, well, I didn't know. Well, I guess I didn't see the movie either, so I wouldn't have known. But I wouldn't, you see this guy and you're just like, who the hell is this actor? Holy shit. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that now. The guy's in everything and is regarded as one of the greats of our time. And Oscar Isaac, just keep going, dude. Keep chewing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing so good.
I think the first thing I ever saw him in was that Llewyn Davis Coen Brothers movie. And I think that was that was right or inside Llewyn
I
Davis.
didn't see that until recent. Yeah, inside Llewyn Davis. I didn't see that until recently. It was like, oh, this is so good.
It's very good. And I think of that was kind of his moment because after that, it all sort of took off. Next Machina.
Like I say, it's just a me problem. Oscar Isaac doesn't look like Danny Huston. They should have gotten the evil doctor from The Fugitive. That's it.
Yeah, perfect.
That's my notes.
It's a perfect
They're my
trade.
notes.
It's a perfect trade.
Yeah.
All right. That explains why I feel like Danny Huston never gets old because I'm mixing those two guys up.
Yeah.
And it's just like they're just going to keep swapping down the line until there's another third guy that looks like them, but he's in his 30s and it's going to confuse me till I'm dead. Russell Crowe is indeed, according to the trivia, the oldest actor who have played Robin Hood in a movie. Sir Sean Connery was 44, 1 year younger than Crowe when he played
But he's supposed to be. That's supposed to be old man Robin, so it makes sense. Right?
Sure. Right. Absolutely. Costner was 35, and everybody else a lot younger than that. So that's your order. Oldest 45,
it's
Russell.
so weird.
44,
I know
35.
we said this when we watched the baseball movie, but Kevin Costner just never feels like he's young.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, he's an old soul.
In Dances with Wolves, he's supposed to be like 20 and he feels 50.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. I think that's part of his part of his draw then and now. Well, now he's old, but when he was playing, he played old young for sure.
Yeah.
I really like it though. There's something about his
Yeah.
whole vibe. I could watch him all day. Hey, it's time for Waterworld rewatch. It's about that time of
Well,
year.
guess what? There's a couple of movies you could watch them all day.
Yeah, I'd like to do it once a year, and I think it's about time. November is a good month for that because it reminds me of the summer, and I'm cold now. And also, we talked about their collaborations. I actually have a list here. This is Ridley Scott and actor Russell's 5th collaboration. So the others were Gladiator, Good Year from that's the movie I couldn't remember the name. A Good Year from 06, American Gangster from
it's a good year.
Good year.
American Gangster 07, and Body of Lies 08. Like, look at that run with him. 6 years later, but then from Good Year through Body of Lies, every year he works with Russell Crowe on some major movie. Nuts.
Well, and now they don't talk. Now they hate each other.
Yeah, now they don't like each other. Well, maybe they're better now. I don't know, but
let's hope. Yeah,
that would be a bummer if I mean, nobody's banging down his door right now to do really serious stuff. I don't mean Ridley Scott, but Russell Crowe.
We're talking about a man who won the Academy Award for acting 2 years in a row. He should have a legendary career by the time it's all said and done. He should be in so many major movies, and it's just kind of strange. Like, I guess he just pushed people away.
He had a little bit of a Marlon Brando phase, I think, and it literally played Jor-El like Marlon Brando did in Superman.
Yeah.
But I think he's
parallels there too. Yeah,
I think it's turning though. I feel like we're seeing more of him, and he's interesting and seems softer and quieter. Age has a way of doing that to you. I'll watch him do whatever. He's just infinitely interesting. And for those who complain about his accent in this, I would agree that it's weird and different and kind of Irish all the time, but he did Master and Commander 6 years before or 5 years before this. That was 03. And he does a perfectly fine British accent in that. Well, I'm not British, so I can't really say it, but it feels like it to me. So I don't understand what happened here.
It's suitable. It works.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Oh, that movie, dude.
Yeah. I don't think Ridley Scott really cares. But like, Ridley Scott is really, really focused on what something looks like and how it feels, and he's not
very
paying
good.
much attention.
He's very good at that. The how it looks and how it feels, for sure. Like his What am I thinking of? Oh, just the drastic jump that Prometheus takes in cinematography over anything that came before it in the Alien series. It's just like, holy shit. And I know that's deep. That's a lot of DP work, right? It's not just him, but man.
And I don't want to be overboard here. So I'm going to try to cut this down, but Mark Strong must be a freaking joy to photograph. Like that guy.
He is a very handsome man.
Yeah.
You gotta as a cinematographer.
Yeah. I love him. Like unabashedly love him.
Yeah.
He's the voice of the Space Marine in the first Space Marine video game. It sold the whole game for me. All the rest of it was fine, but it was all trimming on the tree that is Mark Strong. He's fan-freaking-tastic, and he's a evil douche in this. In all the best ways. Yeah. And even like when he gets hit with that arrow in the neck and he kind of smiles, all I could think of was like either he's just that bad and evil, or that arrow went right through the part of his brain that controls your emotions.
Right.
And he just was like, hello, I'm happy all of a sudden.
Or it was more of a grimace than a smile, but it just came across as like,
I like to think of it as thank God it's over.
Yeah.
I hate the 1200s.
Yeah.
Right. There were two gifts that I was expecting you to cut. It was going to be that one with the arrow through the neck, and it was the mouse dangling from the side of the fruit bowl. And they pan up and they're like, that was such a great shot. We're not redoing that one. We got a dangly mouse.
Yep. How often you get that? But also that was the thing that grossed me out. I did not like the mouse.
Oh, shut up. Really? The mouse?
Yeah.
It was not the bloody oyster?
Nope. That was fine. That didn't bother me. I mean, it's gross, it's gross, but it's so freaking fake.
But you hate oysters anyway. Right. So even like a little bit of gross red food coloring on an oyster, I would think would still gross you out.
It's up there, but I know that the mouse can and probably does carry a bunch of microbial horrors. Whereas that whole thing with the thing was just, faked up to be gross.
Sure. If Scott was eating in someone's hall and some mice were on the table mentioned on the food, Scott would leave.
Yeah,
Scott
I wouldn't stay there.
Sure.
Hell no. I mean, if my dog put her big dumb tongue in a bowl of cereal, I'd keep eating the cereal probably, but
oh my God.
That's further than I would go.
But it's because of, I have this intimate relationship with my dog, and my dog and I get along, and she's licked my face before. Everything will be fine. So when I get jardy, I'll let you guys know that I can't
before we get too far away from photographing Mark Strong, our cinematographer here is John Mathieson. John Mathieson is a famous and very, very successful cinematographer. He helmed Gladiator, for instance, and there's one other FilmSack film that we've seen that John Mathieson was the director of photography. I'll just tell you, it was Matchstick Men. You would never guess that. I don't know.
No,
Matchstick Men doesn't strike me as great cinematography. But having seen Robin Hood now, there is a movie in 2017, which I would call my favorite movie of 2017. That's a little controversial. There is a movie that he photographed. I don't want you to look it up. I want you to guess 2017. What was John Mathieson's cinematography?
Blade Runner 2049. No, but you're close. Okay. That'd be great because it's so connected to Scott. And
I'm so bad with years.
I'm pretty good. I'm okay with it.
What movie?
Is it?
Oh, you're great with it. What are you talking about?
Well, it depends. Sometimes these are hard. Okay. Annihilation. Maybe.
No.
Okay.
Again, that's not a bad guess.
I'm trying to think what else came out that year.
I don't know what year Interstellar came out.
That was
Interstellar is a good guess, but that's a
2014.
That's a very who's the guy?
That's 14 or 13, something like that. Yeah.
The answer is 14. John Mathieson is the cinematographer for Logan.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, Logan's a very pretty movie. Yeah,
and once you know that, you can't unsee it.
Also,
Logan looks very similar to Robin Hood. Here.
Also, another funny connection because the director of Logan is the director of not only the previous movie, but also would go on to do 3:10 to Yuma, and that has Bean Fork in it. So there you go, another Bean Fork reference. What's his name? Can't think of his name. He did the Indiana Jones thing last year. James Mangold. Love his movies.
Mangold, right.
Here's an interesting one. I got some scrutiny for it though, so let's do that.
Scrutiny.
I just don't like the way this is phrased. We know that Russell Crowe got heat for his stupid accent, but here's the exact phrasing. Russell Crowe's attempt at an English accent drew much criticism. That's the entire entry. Give me more than that.
Hey,
Yeah, that's annoying to me. But I did find a really great other connection. Oscar Isaac would go on to play William Hurt's Dune role, Leto Atreides in Dune, the old crappy one. That was William Hurt. And now look at him as Leto Atreides in Dune Part 1. It's pretty good.
right.
I always heard it Leto. I don't know
Leto
why.
is what they say in the movies, and so I had to change the way I said it, but also they say Harkonnen instead of Harkonnen, and I never said that right either, so I don't know. Unless they're getting it wrong in the movies, but I assume that they studied that or whatever.
They asked Frank Herbert.
Yeah, they talked to the ghost of Frank Herbert. He said, yep.
That's right. The estate of Frank Herbert. Oh, how do you pronounce these 11 things, please?
You'll have to talk to my still alive son. He'll tell you. He'll let you know.
Yeah.
He's only written
So,
40 new books I didn't approve.
Herb Herbert.
Herb Herbert. Isn't it Kevin? I think there is a Kevin Herbert.
I think it's Kevin Herbert, yeah.
Something like that. I will give him this. We didn't get a rated R rating, but I did think that getting kicked over backwards, thwarting your rape attempt, because she has stabbed you in the neck with a knife, but it didn't go deep enough to totally stop you. So he's reaching for the knife and for her, and she kicks him in the chest. Off camera, you hear the sound of a guy landing on his neck and the knife going the rest of the way in. Epic, dude. Freaking epic.
And it's a great death, too, because you want that guy to die. He's like unzipping his pants or whatever, getting ready.
Yeah.
And
I got closure on if she could do it or not. Because she was like earlier, she's like, "Hey, don't come in my bed. I'll
sever your wiener," or whatever she said. But I'm telling you, man, there's nothing I like more than a rapist getting his. I freaking love it.
Yeah, and very cleverly edited a lot of stuff, like the gore of the Exorcist being stabbed. The way it's shot and edited, you feel it more than see it.
Yeah. Oh, another Game of Thrones connection. That guy. He was.
Yeah, he's what's he called? The one-eyed Craven?
Three-eyed Crow. The one-eyed Craven. The one-eyed Craven isn't out yet. Comes out in a month. No. Let's see. What is he called?
Two-eyed Craven. I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
7 actors in this movie that were in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It felt like Game of Thrones right away, and I was already worried. I was like, oh, some dark ass shit.
Three-eyed Crow. Three-eyed Crow is the name of it.
Three-eyed Crow. Oh, yeah.
Just for the record, it is not the six-eyed Craven or whatever you said before.
We're just gonna keep having eyes.
I got a list of the 7, and other than Max von Sydow and Mark Addy, I don't know any of them.
Let's see. I thought there was another obvious one.
Y'all felt like they should be, but yeah, it wasn't.
Who am I thinking of? Oh, geez, you're right. Was Leah Seydoux in? No, she's in Dune. She's our other Dune connection.
Yeah,
she's the she basically is carrying Fayed's baby now. She's freaking great, dude. I have a permanent crush on her my whole life. Ever since I ever saw her, my whole life, but first time I ever saw her, I'm not really a guy that's into French people. I mean, ask Patrick. He and I.
I'm not into French people. Not really into French people.
In her IMDb photo, she really looks like Don Johnson's daughter.
A little bit.
Okay.
Dakota Johnson, yeah.
What's her name? Yeah.
Dakota, yeah.
And
she is just, I think she is
speaking of, did you guys know that Don Johnson is on a Love Boat sitcom? Sorry. soap opera?
Yeah. Where he's a doctor or whatever it is. It looks pretty good. I haven't watched it yet.
Showed me a thumbnail from that and asked if I was going to be watching. And I said, yeah, probably not. But
it's the dock boat.
Right. It's like the new, give me a list of one-shot celebrity cameo episodes, basically a parade of B-listers coming through the boat.
Yeah.
I might watch it, but if it's not that, then I'm not interested.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
So it's not the boats that attract you, it's the temporariness.
It never was the boat. It was never the Princess Cruise.
Here's where you need to spend your Don. If you're going to spend your Don Johnson capital, here's where you spend it. Watch the movie. I recommend it on TMS. Watch Rebel Ridge. He plays this douchebag sheriff of a small Louisiana town. He is amazing in it. Don Johnson eats that scenery. He's really good. That movie rocks. Rebel Ridge is so good. And they just announced that dude in there, Aaron Pierre, the main character is going to be Jon Stewart, not the comedian, but the Green Lantern. It's very exciting. Anyway,
well, this is called Dr. Odyssey. I looked at some of it. It's terrible and it's wonderful. It's a soap opera on a boat.
But is it a series of A-list or B-list actors coming on? Like
no, not really. Although there are some, you will definitely recognize the people each episode. Like I just like, but it's like Rachel Dratch level is what I'm saying.
We got Shania Twain. We got Gina Gershon coming through there.
It's a Joshua Jackson show.
Amy Sedaris.
And Josh Jackson is just like, he's never bad. He's never great. He's never very memorable, but he's never bad. Like, he's great. And the woman is Philippa Sue, who is what you get when you order Alexandria Daddario on Wish.
And boy, have I tried to order Alexandria Daddario on Wish.
She's on Temu, but it is not what you think you're getting. It's
permanently sold out. I never on back order.
Oh, this is another Ryan Murphy joint. His stuff's always controversial, isn't it? That's a Ryan Murphy mix.
It is just a soap opera.
Okay.
Yeah. This is like he was like, I made Glee. I'm gonna go make Days of Our Lives on a boat.
Well,
like, seriously, that's what this is.
I did American Horror Story, and I think he's that Grotesquerie series is him. He produces a whole lot of shit, but then some garbage like that 911 show is bad.
Tina watches that religiously, like all the different flavors of it too. Whatever it's like Tulsa 911 or
Austin or whatever it is.
Chicago fill in the blank. Put any word you want after Chicago, and you have a show.
Right. Yeah, Kim is really into those too, so I guess they've got some solidarity on those crappy
Seriously,
shows.
I want a show called Chicago Public Library. Get on it.
Oh, now we're talking. That sounds all right.
Sure.
Put those put the elementary people in charge. What's their names?
But elementary people.
Yeah, have them do it. Or have
that show's great.
Yeah, that show's amazing. Or Superstore, those guys, they could do it.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts and feelings before we do some stuff here? What do you think of that?
I don't have any more feelings.
No more feelings? Well, then I will do it.
I missed
one last question.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wrote this down several times during the movie, and then of course it gets answered at the very, very end, but it's still a good question. Why doesn't our Robin Hood story have the Sheriff of Nottingham in it?
Well,
he's
barely in it. He's barely in it. Yeah,
he's barely in it.
Yeah.
He's there, but
that's like we were saying earlier. Like
part two would have been a big Robin Hood versus Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, because they are the Vader and Luke. Like that's the whole story. So the fact that he was barely sprinkled in here was not enough. And he did. I mean, he was a douchebag, but that's all we got is that one interaction, and
except for the one line. I'm French on my mom's side.
Oh,
that was pretty good.
That was pretty funny. Yeah, but there's a reason. There's a reason why. What's his name? Snape's portrayal of that character is so revered in Men in Tights, but the Prince of Thieves. It's very, very good.
Yeah,
it elevates the entire thing. Why can't I think of his name?
Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman. Jeez, rest his soul.
Good. I know he's not a chick in the bucket because we get kind of an end, but I need to see Jimmy be dead. I just not drug away on a horse. I need to see that he's dead. The kid.
The kid
from earlier,
the beginning before the ambush. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I agree.
He just gets drug off of the horse, and it's like, okay, I guess he's dead.
You know what?
I need to see him go.
I think it counts.
Grab a bucket.
I think that counts.
Jimmy in a bucket.
Jimmy in a bucket. They did. I was wondering about that because they made a big deal out of it.
Robin.
It got all slow.
Robin!
It got slow motiony and all scary, and then he got pulled off. And I guess we're supposed to assume he died. I don't know.
They buried some people, and I was like, well, is that Jimmy? I mean, you buried a lot of people. I need closure.
Perhaps he'll become Mark Strong's concubine. You never know.
I do appreciate that this movie rounded up all of the different people who had played aggrieved country folk and put them in the final scene where King John burns the Magna Carta, because there was just this thing where I'm like, oh yeah, remember that person? Oh look, they got that guy there, and I really love that. It's one of my favorite things. I just watched The Game on my birthday because it's about a man on his birthday, and there's a scene near the end where he goes into a cafeteria and he sees all the characters from the previous parts of the film. I'm like, this is nice. They should do this in more movies.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Well, Ridley Scott's got he's got ideas. Let's get to some clips here. I've got a few lined up, and it starts with this. The thinks it's the mom early on. Yeah, this is the queen, and she cracked me up. Underrated, underused. Here she is.
An English princess shut out of her husband's bedchamber by a piece of French pastry.
Piece of French pastry. Yeah, but that woman is,
totally overstating the conflict. Like, I love the trivia that's like very insistent that that in actual 1199, British kings spoke French, and they owned part of France, and this wouldn't have been as nationalized as a conflict is made to be.
Yeah. And a note in the direction of the lady who played her, Eileen Atkins. She has an enormous and very respected, the queen, IMDb listing. She's still working today. She was in that Doc Martin thing up till 2022, and this year she was in something called Wicked Little Letters. She's very old now, born in 34, still kicking ass. I think that's great.
Yep.
Freaking great.
Age is coming for you too.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm ready for it. Let's
For
go.
all of us.
I can feel it. All right, here's one. This is Oscar Isaac doing some good work.
Mother, please, have you no decency? I happen to be in a condition that no mother should see her son in.
He was good at the accent. This is a good accent, I thought.
Yeah.
It's nice work. And then the girl says,
And no babies.
no babies.
No babies. And no babies.
And no babies. Here's the mom again.
Will favour England's royal runt over the King of France.
Oh, my Lord.
Royal runt.
Hello. This is me when the insurance guy the other day asked for a urine sample. This is what I said.
Yeah. Is no pee.
There is no pee. I kind of did that because I'd already gone, and when he got here, we didn't know he was going to ask for samples.
No,
that one I told you about with the square paper cup.
Yeah,
Ryan, so weird.
Yeah,
but he pulls out. He goes, "Now I'm assuming you probably already gone this morning." I'm like, "You assume correct? I went like 5 seconds ago. I somehow did it though. I got a little in there.
Yeah, a little left in there.
Yeah,
I had my annual on Wednesday. And my doctor spent the entire time threatening me with tests. And so I accepted any test that could be done with the blood I was about to give anyway.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake. I didn't realize that every time I said, yeah, you should check for that. And sure, okay. That I was adding a vial and adding a vial.
Into another vial.
Yeah.
I'm feeling weak. We need some cookies and orange juice.
Seriously, I went straight home and started eating food because I was like, man, they took a lot of blood.
Yeah, they do. I always forget that it's not just a vial. One vial solves all issues. You have to have different pristine blood samples.
You guys can't share that?
Yeah.
No.
Nope. Tell those labs.
I agreed in principle to a colonoscopy in the future, but I don't know, man.
Yeah,
you should do the poop in the box thing. It's.
I've done that, and it was easy,
fun.
Fine.
Oh, it's easy to poop in a box. I mean, yeah.
But
anybody can do it, right?
But all the doctors I've talked to about that said that one is as accurate as a colonoscopy. If your insurance will cover it, you should consider it. So I might do that for the next.
And if not, pay for it yourself.
Yeah, I'm willing to pay cash to get out of this.
How much do you need to not go up my butthole?
Yeah, right. Can I mean, Brian, Randy, let me ask you. Let's say he comes back and says, well, it's not covered on your insurance. Kaiser Permanente is Permanente saying no. So here's what you got to pay. That'll be $3,000. Will you do it?
Wow. I am asking everyone listening to this to please subscribe to the Film Stack Patreon.
Go to my GoFundMe because Randy doesn't want
pay for my cancer screening.
That's right. I don't want to have
those benefits to the 1200s where you just died at 35. Didn't have to worry about it.
I know, right? I was thinking about this the other day. It's like we're so well past the old averages that it's all gravy from here on, you know? Mm-hmm. And if you don't get your colon checked, you might be pooping gravy. So get in there and get it done. All right. Here is how does the bladder work?
You take out the pee when you're doing your slide-ins and your turn-ins.
All right. Thank you, Kevin Durand.
It's good advice.
I did it's a little tropey, but I like them fighting first, but then they're inseparable later.
Yes.
I kind of like that.
Yes.
It works for Little John and Robin, I think.
Enemies to allies. Yeah.
Although part of me was like, Kevin Durand would just rock your socks, dude. You should not be alive after this. He would destroy you.
Right.
But then I remember, oh no, he's the one with the bean fork with cuffed hands. So What do I know?
Right. Yeah.
Here's a nice reference.
The more the merrier.
The more the merrier. Get it? The more the merrier.
Merry band of merry men.
This one, I don't remember what she said, but I wrote, Kate is great.
I like a quiet church, Father, when I pray for a miracle.
I love her, dude.
She kept going with that, and I'm like, what does that mean exactly?
You know what it is with her? She's got this edge to her voice that's like, I don't know what to compare it to. Kate Blanchett has beautiful, wonderful femininity, but there's an edge, like a razor's edge to her voice that just cuts through.
Yeah.
Oh man, she's great.
Like she could stab you right in the back.
Yeah,
I mean, between the crotch.
And I'm preaching to the vast choir because everybody knows how great she is, but I think it bears repeating. She's wonderful. Friar Tuck here's your King Baratheon of the Red Keep. Here you go.
I am Friar Tuck. Father Tancred is elevated to York, where I know he will remind the bishop that the people of Nottingham...
The bishop does not need reminding that the people of Nottingham should reap what they sow and repent of their sins.
That guy sounded like David Thewlis a little bit.
Mm-hmm. He totally did. Yeah.
Wasn't, but sounded like him, right? We don't like bees, but here's something about bees.
You keep bees, Tuck.
Yeah, keeping some bees.
Bees.
I knew the minute they were getting into that bee thing, which I don't remember from any previous telling of the Robin Hood story, but when they started talking about how he was just way into bees and, not really that into the church, he just wanted to watch bees. And I went, he's going to throw a bunch of bees. He's going to use bees as a power later.
Yeah, bees as a weapon.
Yep.
Right.
And he did. He totally did.
Yep.
2 big bee grenades. Bee-nades. All right.
Bee-nades.
Here's King. Oh, long live the king. Now, this is great because it's a line, but then I have a thing to say about it. So here you go.
The king is dead. Long live the king.
Now, what I like about that is it's that old phrase you hear a million times, right? The king is dead, long live the king. So it's a normal thing. But if you listen to her say the first part, it sounds like she's trying to fake a bullet ricochet sound, and I'm going to play it for you isolated. All right? So here you go.
A king.
A king.
A king.
Oh.
A king. A king.
I don't know why that sounds like that to me, but I couldn't get it out of my head, so now you can't get it out of yours.
Thank you for that.
A king.
A king.
All right. Why? Let's see. Why? Something about an enemy. Here we go.
Why, oh, why do you make an enemy of me?
Oh, that's your sheriff of overacting. Yeah.
Sure.
Lansgans.
That guy's great. I love him.
He is great. Yeah.
But they really gave him nothing here. They're over?
They're over!
Oh, they're over. Okay. Literally what I wrote.
They're over.
Another great line from Mom.
Milking a dry udder gets you nothing but kicked off the milking stool.
She's great, dude.
Love it.
Dry udder.
Dry udder. Here's another retort from the mom. Or to the mom. Oh, this is from John.
Mother, spare me your farmyard memories. You have none, and I don't understand them.
That was such a great line.
Yeah, delivered really well too. All right, we got Max has entered the scene.
Our traveler will be thirsty. Travelers are always thirsty. Is that not so? Your name, sir?
I mean, it's on site out as hell. So I'm gonna guess we've seen him 3 times. Here are my picks: this one, Exorcist, and the movie
Flash.
Dunaway hates. Oh, I forgot about Flash Gordon. All right, so there's more. Flash Gordon. What's the Tom Hanks one with the water you hate? What's wrong with me?
You're talking about
Minority Report. He's a bad guy in that, or the main guy, or main bad guy. Is that it, Randy, or are we missing some? I don't know if you even have a list. You may not have a list.
It's 13 movies, though.
Holy shit.
Have you seen him in?
Yes.
Oh.
We have seen Max von Sydow in 13 movies.
That blows my mind.
You just named like 3 of them.
Yeah, 4. Do you have what are the other 6? Do you have them handy?
I'll just quickly give you the whole list. Okay. It's Conan the Barbarian, Dreamscape, Dune, the first Dune, Flash Gordon, Ghostbusters 2, Judge Dredd, Minority Report, Robin Hood, Star Wars The Force Awakens, Strange Brew, The Exorcist, The Ice Pirates, and 3 Days of the Condor.
Okay, now that officially makes this movie the biggest Dune 84 through 2000 or 2020 crossover, because you got William Hurt, you got him, you got the girl in the new one. You got Leto Atreides in both forms. Like, that's crazy. That's awesome. Freaking love that. Oh, and also Ridley Scott was the direct beneficiary of what's his name? I forget the director's name. Jodorowsky's Dune that never got made. When it stopped production, all that concept art and what's his name? The Swedish I can't think of anyone's name today. Anyway, that artist all went over to work on Alien with him in 79.
Oh, Giger. Right.
Giger. That is just that's nuts to me how full circle this movie is with the actors. It's crazy. Wow. All right. Anyway, I'm getting a little too excited. Let's do this one. Here's Severin, your what?
I will sever your manhood.
Oh my lord.
Oh wow, that is a serious threat.
I believe her when she says it too.
I'll sleep over by the fire with the dogs then.
Yeah. I believe when she says it, I believe her. I do.
Oh yeah.
And then nothing happens. I mean, he watches her a little lustily, but not really that much, and she's behind some gauzy curtains. And then he goes to sleep, and you're like, so does she like him? What's happening
later?
I actually like that exploration of that because this movie is somewhat about that middle management kind of where you reside. You can't really date somebody below your class. So there's a little bit of, exploring classism here too.
Yeah, I get that. It's just, I want something to be told to me. I want a story about the two characters. And this movie is just like, no, you're not getting that. We're going to go to Dover and have a battle on a beach.
Yeah. But next movie we will. Oops. No next movie.
I think that's the most important thing here is I just kept remembering anything that was missing was probably planned for a follow-up, right?
Probably. Yeah.
Origin story stuff here.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah, they were banking on being able to continue or go further, I think.
I think so too.
Never came about.
Nope. Here's your two options.
Pay or burn?
Pay or burn, says Mark Strong. Which one do you want? You want to burn? You want to pay?
I'll pay.
Yeah, I would think you'd do anything to avoid burn.
Well, if you don't have the money, though, you're gonna.
Are we talking about a verbal burn? I can take it.
If you don't have the money, then you're going to start talking a lot. Like you're going to say anything to avoid burn.
Yeah. You are a disheveled, ugly British man. Burn, sick burn,
that hurt.
Sick burn. Ever play Netflix at 0.5 speed? I accidentally did, and this is what Russell Crowe sounds like when he talks at that speed. I don't know how people do this, but it's there as a feature. Here you go.
Until lambs become lions.
Can you believe that's how that sounds? Like, F that
really?
shit. Yeah. That's just on the Netflix.
Slowed down. That didn't sound sped up. You're saying 1.5 speed, right?
No.
No, he said 0.5.
0.5. 0.5 speed.
So it has
making your 2.5 hour movie into what?
Into a 5-hour epic.
Yeah, and I don't want. Look, I understand there are going to be people with certain disabilities where a slowed down thing is what they need. Somebody with a stroke. I understand why it exists, but it's almost unlistenable. Like that's just terrible.
Yeah. Until lambs become lions.
I mean, that's really bad. It's modulated to hell and back. Anyway, I just I took my shirt off so I can see my breast. My breast. Before we cut out of here and go to the titles and stuff, what was I going to say? Oh, Randy, we forgot to bring this up. We talked about it on Discord. The weird decision that this version on Netflix has. If you don't have closed captioning on, you don't do any of that. For some reason, it's giving you subtitles for any of the French or any foreign languages outside of English.
Or
twice.
Locations. Like it says, Nottingham.
Yeah, and doing it twice as if we don't see the exact thing on screen.
Yeah.
I don't understand what happened.
I had a hunch, and I just asked a friend of mine who's an expert on these things. Do you think that when I'm watching something on Netflix and there's titles baked in, and those titles are in a funny font, that there's a reason that Netflix also gives you a separate thing? And she said, yes, that's probably an accessibility feature where Netflix is trying to help people who are using some kind of extra tool because they're unsighted.
So I get that, but that's usually a thing you turn on, right? Like that's the weird thing is it's baked into the
like Netflix is forcing it because they wouldn't have it. Like if you don't have it turned on for some reason, you don't have closed captioning on, and
so this was made for Max von Sydow.
Yeah, it was made for his character. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like the font wasn't bad, but you could kind of see, oh, they're making it more clear what you're seeing because the font in the movie is a little bit funny.
Wasn't he also kind of blind in Game of Thrones? Like the three-eyed crow thing is that you can see visions and stuff, but I think the man part of him that was like twisted up in that tree, I don't think he could see shit.
The man pot.
The man pot in the tree. All right. That's
Nonetheless, I agree with you. It really bothered me every time because I'm like, I like my vision and hearing is okay, and I guess I'm playing on my privilege.
It should be able to just turn that on or off, though. Like that's the weird bit. That's why these sorts of features exist, and I'm glad they do. I just don't know why it's not even on by default because there's no way of turning it off. It's baked into the thing. It's like cooked into
physical media, baby. Screw you, streaming services.
I think Dunaway is saying that was a Netflix only thing, right?
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that this isn't. I mean, I still just don't know why they did it. Because what I mean by baked in, it's not dynamically showing those titles like you would with CC, with closed captioning. That's dynamically done in real time. This is, and it's overlaid. This is baked into the footage. These were.
Right.
Because I zoomed in and I'm looking at artifacting and it's in the words. So that's a weird thing to do. I still say they screwed up. It's like some weird mistake. But whatever. What do I know? Here's this time to do this. It's the Film Sack checklist. Ridley Scott brought all his dirt and sweat collection for this movie as well. Check.
Spittle. Did you forget the spittle?
There's a lot of spittle, dude. Jeez Louises. It was a dark time. I learned that this. Sorry, I just wrote this wrong. I learned in this that it takes more people to take off your chainmail than just one. I really didn't know that. I assume you just unzip your chainmail
because that's not flexible, right? Chainmail is not made to be like I'm going to stretch this over my head.
Exactly. Yeah, has to be untied, and safest place to do that is in the back, I guess, because you want it to be solid and unbroken in the front.
You guys ever done?
Right. So you can't have some Frenchman like just flip it out, untie it and stab you. Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever worn chainmail of any sort? I don't think I have either. I'm trying to think. I think I've had.
It sucks.
I recall at some like BlizzCon or something putting on someone's chainmail gloves and going, "Oh, this is wrong. This is bad."
I also have that. That's weird. I have that exact memory, but I could not tell you who did it or why. I think maybe I was also like, "Whoa, why is that so heavy?"
I feel like people who are wearing chainmail places like that are definitely going around. You won't believe how heavy this is.
Yeah.
Well, and then the scene where they take it off of Russell Crowe in this movie, I felt relief. I felt like,
yeah.
Whew, that must be what it feels like to get your bra off after a long day, man. That guy,
when she helps him pull all the rest of it off, all I could think of is, dude, Russell Crowe stinks right now. Yeah. He stinks.
Oh, we'd already determined that, right? Yeah, they'd already said you stank. Go take a bath.
Middle ages, not middle age, but middle ages era stank, man. I mean, did you even
Especially
know?
If you couldn't get your chainmail off just to, kind of splash some water underneath there or anything.
Even the rich people, though, they were like 8 days between bathing, and then they spent the rest of the time putting powder everywhere. Like, what a nightmare. That's what grossed me out, the whole time era. That grosses me out.
Gross.
All right. How about this one? Oh, kept expecting someone to yell, "Bring out your dead." Check. All right. Final one, Star Trek Connections. This is a interesting one because I think I already know a couple of these, but please regale us, Randy, with any connections with Star Trek.
It's interesting because it's only one. You can go through every person in this movie and you will only find one. And it's the smallest Star Trek connection I've ever seen.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. Okay.
So
right.
Our Star Trek connection this week is Scott Grimes, who played Will Scarlet in this movie and didn't show up. And Scott Grimes was in one episode of The Next Generation. Okay. It was season 3, episode 1. It was called Evolution. All right.
Okay.
Let me just set the scene. Beverly Crusher is back. Right. Season 3, episode 1.
Yeah.
Beverly Crusher
over that whole
back.
you murdered my
back to the Crusher.
Yeah. So they bring Ken Jennings on board, Dr. Kelso from Scrubs. And he's there to observe a stellar explosion, and Wesley Crusher ruins everything. The Enterprise might be lost, but they all come together and fix it. And then at the very end of the episode, the last breath, Beverly is in 10 forward and she's talking to Guinan. And Wesley comes in with a girlfriend, and he and his girlfriend walk over to a table where 4 other teenagers are sitting there. And one of the teenagers is Scott Grimes.
Yeah, look at these photos I just put in Discord. Look how stupid that outfit is.
They're Power Rangers.
Wow.
Look at
They
that.
really
We got
are,
the Yellow
yeah.
Ranger, the Red Ranger, the Blue Ranger,
and the Gray Ranger.
And the nerd.
And the nerd.
Camel Toe Brigade.
Yeah.
It is so wild to me that Scott Grimes got like everything about this episode. Like it's a Wesley versus the star of the week. The star of the week is Ken Jennings, and here's Scott Grimes. That we had to have a bunch of extra teenagers. I honestly think the Next Generation thought at the beginning of season 3 that they were going to have more kids, that they were just going to work in children
right
a lot more.
Right.
And I don't think audiences liked Wesley in the first place.
No.
Yeah.
No. Well, yeah, I think we rebelled pretty hard against that stuff for sure. Yeah. He's great, dude. Scott Grimes for the win.
He is. And then he gets in the final season of the Orville. I don't think we're ever getting any more. In the final season of the Orville, Scott Grimes gets a whole episode, and it's a feature film length, and it is amazing. He acts his ass off in that thing, and like I can go back. That's going to end up being my Waterworld. I'm going to end up watching this one episode of the Orville every year just to feel something, because it's so incredible how he like stands against everybody else and wants to live a completely different life.
It's an incredible show. I hate that it may not come back. Sounds like it isn't.
Yeah.
It's so good. Gosh dang it.
So good.
Starts out a little parody-like. Later on, he's like, this was a stealth move to make my own Star Trek series, basically.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make it better than most of the real ones. So sit back and enjoy.
And throughout the Orville, Scott Grimes, the actor, is given many opportunities to be Scott Grimes, the singer. And I want you to know, if you haven't watched the Orville, because for whatever reason, you might think, well, it's silly, or I hate Seth MacFarlane. Those are all good reasons. Watch the Orville so you can enjoy when Scott Grimes pulls out a guitar, because he does it repeatedly, and it is always amazing.
Wow. He's also a Raiders fan. Look at that photo. Got a little Raiders jacket on.
He is, yeah.
All right.
That against him.
Well, there you go. Good job, Scott Grimes. The soundtrack grade I'm going to give this thing is an NWISHB, which is not what it should have been. I think that this is a step down from your usual Hans Zimmer collaborations and all the stuff. Ridley Scott's got some great musical collabs. This is not one of those, in my opinion. I think the music is weak.
Recall a single thing about this soundtrack. It's not a single thing.
Serviceable, but weak, in my opinion.
Yeah, Mark Straitenfeld is serviceable. That's the right thing. He also does Prometheus music a couple years later.
See, and Prometheus music's okay, but it's also kind of the weakest of. I don't know, whatever. It's not really even a critical review. It's just there's nothing. I was never roused.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's not great. It's not bad. It's just there it is.
It's fine. Gets the job done.
Yeah, I don't think Mark Straitenfeld is who you call when you need a theme.
Yeah,
like you are Christopher Nolan, and you desperately need a musical theme in your movie. You get Hans Zimmer, right?
Right. And he usually does. Like Ridley Scott's like, hey, Hans, what are you doing? I'm doing some Denis Villeneuve shit over here. Well, when you're done, come over here. Like, it's not a problem for them usually to collaborate. But this is
right.
This
and
is
write
weird.
A new tune and then play it 130 times, and we have Interstellar.
Yeah. Oh man, you're making me want to watch Interstellar. Real quick here, the music by Mark Straitenfeld. That guy's name, Mark Straitenfeld, implies the existence of Mark Gayenfeld. All right, anyway, moving on. Social media posts. This is where you guys sum it up in 280 characters or less. Let's start this week with Randy.
Robin Hood. At first, we see Robin Hood and we think, oh, good, we know what's coming. We can link these characters together thanks to years of well-known lore. We know all of his peers. But nope, you're wrong. This movie pulls the rug. It barely names most of them. Makes you shrug. King John looks Spanish, huh? He makes it work. Sign the freaking Magna Carta, jerk.
Oh, I like the final rhymes. Very good. Brian Dunaway, let's have yours.
Oh, Robin Hood, 2.5 hours of Nottingham. More like Nottingham. Am I right? Like nodding off.
Oh.
Hashtag taxes are bad.
Can't find a Nottingham. All right. I don't know why I said that. Where are we now? Oh, Brian Ibbett.
Sure. Robin Hood. Here's a little game of where's the P? 1 for you, 2 for me. 10 will get you 20, 20 will get you 40. Find the ball under the shell and you'll get paid really well. Oh, no, sorry. The Robin Hood lore is under the one on the right.
Oh.
I've never thought about the shell game until we watched this movie, and I was like, geez, you wouldn't have to hide the ball. I know we always go, oh, you just hide the ball, 100% success for the dealer. But I'm like, just 2 out of 3. My $10 versus your $10, 2 out of 3. I have the advantage. Go.
Right. So it's about moving the ball in a way that the other person
Separate
can't
from the shells.
the other person makes a mistake.
Yeah.
Right.
They think they have the advantage because they think they're watching you. So
you can offer them 5 to 1 or 10 to 1, but you're moving the P so that it's not where they're going to guess every time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's all
2 out of 3.
Yeah.
You're going to win.
The takeaway lesson is never, ever do one of these in Vegas on the strip.
No 3-card Monty, no shell game. You're never going to win. So don't do it.
Don't do it. I mean, it's fun to watch from the sidelines to see people be stupid and pick, but I ain't doing that. I'm not stupid. All right. Well done, everybody. Let's get to the alternate titles. Oh, gosh. Where's that? There it is. This is almost called Robin Hood Prince of Thebes. I don't know why I did that. That was late at night.
Why not?
Or
Thebes.
Master and Commander, The Far Side of Arrow Shooting Man. Let's get to the email. We got one here from Greg. Greg sent an email to filmsack@gmail.com, and he says this: if you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend If Looks Could Kill. You have Richard Grieco as the world's oldest high school senior.
Oh, nice.
Mistaken as a senior agent, or a secret agent, not senior. It has all the trimmings of your typical spy film, including Linda Hunt as a deadly henchwoman and a villain named Augustus. It's currently on YouTube for free, legally. Highly sackable film. Love the show. Been listening for years. Thanks, Greg. I've never heard of it. If Looks Could Kill.
Yeah, he was 21 Jump Street after mid-season replacement, right? Didn't he come in after Johnny Depp?
He did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I just think of
So it fits right in.
I think of Up All Night USA type stuff, like Silk Stockings or something. I don't know if that's.
I think I've seen this.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I wish it was streaming somewhere because it looks like you would expect, given that it's from 1991.
Right.
Let's see. Yeah, 90. Oh, he looks pretty young in this.
Well, I hope so. He's supposed to be playing a high schooler, right? Or college student.
I do like Linda Hunt.
I do too. I will watch anything with Linda Hunt.
Yeah, maybe we get this on the list. Is it a comedy or is it played for straight? Like, you know what I mean?
He's supposed to be like a
comedy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Action comedy.
Sign me up. Sounds stupid. I'm in.
Speaking of action comedy, I am going to watch the Dallas Cowboys today.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, action comedy.
I'm glad that Brian Ibbett laughed.
Well, look, you have to laugh because when's the last time those guys did anything great? It's been a long time.
It is ridiculous.
And we were all young. Remember when we were young? The Cowboys were doing everything. They had the hot cheerleaders. They were winning Super Bowls. They had quarterbacks, Hall of Fame, Aikmans and things. What are they now?
Aikmans.
Speaking of cheerleaders, I just want to say, I recently did a little deep dive on NBA basketball teams dancers because living out where I live, you hear about the Laker girls all the time. The Laker girls are going to make an appearance at the mall or whatever, and
where do you live? The 80s?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
And I just thought to myself, I wonder who's like the best in my opinion. Like it can't be the Laker girls. It has to be someone else. And I found the Arizona NBA team. What are they called? The Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns have dancers that are on TikTok, and I love them. Thank you very much, Phoenix Suns, for entertaining me.
Good job.
Like for some reason, this is the season of our lives when Ilona Maher is on Dancing with the Stars, and we are all called to have fun with dancing.
Yeah.
And I am just like, I am falling for it.
I'll take your word for it. I've never seen Dancing with the Stars.
I haven't seen any of that stuff since Paula Abdul.
No.
Wow.
That's the extent.
She's the last star you danced with. That's what you're saying.
The last Laker girl that danced that I watched.
Oh, I always forget she was a Laker girl. I always forget that. Text. We also get some text here. Was that the cat? Was that what that was? What was that?
Later on,
that was cat.
Cat.
Oh, I thought I heard a sound that something broke, and I thought you were saying it was your cat.
No, it could be scat cat.
No, I'm talking about that's a more of a Paul Abdul reference than anything else.
Okay, gotcha. All right, where are we now? Oh, a text, 801-471-0462. We got a text from an anonymous listener. It says, Yo, Scott, if your problem with haunted houses is that there are no rules, you might like the book Mexican Gothic. Haunted house with lore that explains every strange happening, and just a great creepy book overall. Not the scariest. Scariest thing I've enjoyed recently is Behold the Void by Philip Frasky. I've never heard of it. I would like to check that out.
Behold the Void.
He says it's very existentially upsetting. Well, thank you, anonymous person who didn't leave their name. But also, yeah, I'm. You know, if I can find some content where the haunted house rules are at least entertained to be explained, that sounds interesting to me, because usually I cannot stand it when it's just random shit. The door opened by itself. No, it was a ghost who did it. But the ghost passes through everything except the door when he needs to. Like, give me some rules.
Right. Yeah, I went to one a long time ago, and it kind of broke the mold for me. It was a haunted house that took place in this massive auto shop, and everything about the different scares was themed into like you walking through an auto repair shop. You know, so like there were cars and lights and things, and it all just like made sense.
Yeah,
I'm like, I need heavy theming from now on.
Same. Bring it to me, or just have what's his name do it. Your Midnight Mass guy.
Yes. What's the guy's name?
Flanagan. Mike Flanagan.
Flanagan.
I will forgive all kinds of shitty mistakes in your TV or movies. But if Flanagan's in charge, I'll forgive them. If he's not, I'm way more scrutinied on those people. He gets away with a lot, and I don't know why that is, but I guess hats off to that guy.
Yeah.
He really should shave that weird little tuft of hair he has on the front of his head, though. Should shave that. All right, moving on. Let's get to the Patreon shout-outs. We got some new folks since we last spoke, and it's really nice to see them. Michael Coram, L.F. Fleming, 221, Just Another Tony, Richard Brooks, and Alex Aguilar have all joined us, as well as a returning Seb, S-E-B, has also returned as a comeback.
Welcome back, Seb. I guess the prodigal son does return.
It does return. Oh, nice movie reference there. Good job. Anyway, these people know what it's like to have no commercials or ads ever, and monthly show host content. I've got one coming up in a few days, for it is my month to do it. So watch for that. And
apparently I'm now committed. If we get enough subscribers, I'm gonna someone's gonna go up my butt.
Yep.
Okay.
That's right.
Well, no, wait. It was the opposite.
Yeah, poop in a box.
I need the money to avoid being anally penetrated.
Yeah. You need to go poop in a box is what you need to do. Okay. Anyway, movie-related art prints in the mail, other cool stuff. If you're interested in any of that, go check it out. That is patreon.com/filmsack. Our next movie is, I don't know. I didn't write it down.
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel.
Oh, we finally watching Blue Steel. Yes.
Jamie Lee
Curtis. Yes. I'm so excited.
Hold on. Blue Steel. Why do I...
Probably because I've said it like 100 times. So it's finally streaming.
Oh, with the one Catherine Bigelow movie I've never seen.
No. Yeah, that's why it's on our list.
Clancy Brown, Ron Silver. Oh, I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is amazing, but Louise Fletcher, horror sensation, Exorcist mom.
Wow, Nurse Ratched.
Richard Jenkins, Kevin Dunn. Other people,
actors that I know names.
Tom
of.
Sizemore, Mike Starr, who we were Ibbott and I were just talking about him, and Aiello. Yeah. Well, anyway. Come bring it on. Let's go. I'm excited. Blue Steel, streaming. Let's see.
Amazon Prime. Amazon the Prime.
Sounds good. It's either on free.
And a bunch of other places too. If you need it for free. You can get it on Tubi, Pluto.
Yeah, Plex has it also at the moment. And Freevee is the one that Amazon owns. It's also free there and is also streaming without ads on Prime. Anyway, no reason not to see it, folks, is what we're saying. So do your homework, watch Blue Steel. Let's get our butts together and meet at the
let's put our butts together.
Put our butts together and see what happens.
Right, Randy?
Yes.
That's right. 1990. Wow. All right. That is going to do it for the show. Filmsack.com for all other things you might need. It's going to do it for us, for me, for Brian, and for Randy.
Ask me nicely.
We'll see you next time.
Oh, looks like someone just got their ears caught in the audio cookie jar. It's okay. You can have another, and another after that at frogpants.com.
And no babies.